welcome back to the Resurrected or Winners You podcast. As ever, my name is David, and I am sitting, 2 plus 3 miles across from Mr. Alex Aldridge. How are you doing today, Alex?
Ahoy hoy, sir. Are you jubilant?
I am jubilant. I am. No, I don't care.
No.
I do care. I've got an extra day off.
I got 2 days off, did you?
So we got an extra day in May for some reason, during the May Day holiday. So, no, I was working yesterday.
Jit.
Alright, let down.
Absolutely jit. That's the workplace equivalent of stepping on a swan as far as I'm concerned.
They did give and take though. So my work is, as of June the 13th, has done away with core hours, and I'm getting an extra flexi day. So I'll get 2 days. Okay. 2 days a month off on flexi, and I don't have to do any sort of specific working hours as long as I do my hours.
Good.
Pretty good.
When you said they give and take, I thought for a second you were talking about the Royals, which of course they don't give anything, they just take. So obviously you weren't. You were talking about your company.
I was. What are we doing
Lots
here, Alex?
Lots of flags going around in your neck of the woods.
The only flag I've seen today is a Ukraine flag that has been sitting there since March time. So
respect.
No British flags.
You're not covered in Union Jacks everywhere.
I do have a friend that's having a Jubilee party, but I don't think I'm going. Unfortunately, I've done the classic and triple booked myself. So actually, no, I never really booked myself or committed to this Jubilee party. It's just not. I had previous plans, so not going to make it, unfortunately.
What a shame.
It is. It is. It is. What are you doing for this party? Are you going to paint a Union Jack onto your daughter, flyer on the flagpole above your house? I don't know.
I am going to sit grumpily in my room on my 3 days off from work, saying, fuck the Queen, let's play Wario Land. And that's what I did.
I mean, that is red, blue, and there must be some white in there. Given his dungarees.
Not on the Game Boy, there isn't.
No, it's... What was it? What is his in the DX version? Well, I can't remember now. What colour is he sporting there? Must be blue and red, right?
Yeah, it's always the question is which way round they get the dungarees, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I don't know which way round they got the dungarees. So let's have a little cheeky look. I don't know what the specific official way is supposed to be. You know. Does
it change? Yeah, I guess it probably does.
It did change at some point. So it looks to be red with blue dungarees. I'm pretty sure maybe the first game it was the other way around, potentially.
I'm looking around this room thinking there must be a Mario somewhere in this room that I can look at. I think the current Mario is blue dungarees, red top.
Yeah, definitely.
But then the movie was red dungarees, I think.
Yeah, the very first Mario game, he's got red dungarees and a blue top on. Super Mario Bros.
The sneaky son of a bitch changed his uniform. I wonder when he did that.
Maybe he changed plumbing company.
Maybe he did.
And the uniform was bizarrely the complete opposite of what he was wearing at the previous company.
He's just unified it, I guess. He's unified it and made Luigi wear the same uniform as well, because I guess his must be blue now too.
Yeah, it is. He just wears a green top underneath, yeah. Mm-hmm. Interesting follow-on point from that. In this game, well, the first game we're going to be talking about today, which is Super Mario Land 2 on the Game Boy, because of the color limitations of the Game Boy, that is why when you get a fire flower, you have a little feather on your head, because it's the only way that they could show you that you've changed power.
Ah, right, okay. Yeah, that's
because they couldn't change the colors.
I do find it odd. Like sometimes I want to know their thinking when they're doing that. So we were playing in that game the flying one in Mario, apart from maybe the cape, is generally quite odd, because there's the Tanuki suit, which is just a tail.
Mm-hmm.
It's a flying squirrel though, ears, and it's a flying squirrel, really, isn't it? Is a Tanuki a flying squirrel?
Something like that.
So maybe that. Okay, I'll let that one off.
Or it's a dog or a raccoon. Or
At the moment, it's in Super Mario Land 2, or just Mario Land 2, isn't it?
No, Super Mario Land 2.
Super Mario Land 2. It's rabbit ears, by the looks of it.
Yeah.
Which is really odd. I've never seen a rabbit fly.
No, not with its ears.
No.
I mean, How did the squirrel suit work? You remember? Was it the Wii U one?
He's got. I know he's got
It's
a.
like an actual. He like kind of just floats, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's got like a squirrel suit on. You know, like the flying squirrel suits that you see people jumping out of planes with.
Yeah.
He's got a Mario version of that.
But then, I mean, in Mario World, he gets a feather that makes him have a cape that allows him to fly.
Yeah.
Well, he doesn't really fly, does he? He like flaps his cape
Yeah.
effectively. But why is it a feather? And why does that then produce a cape?
Don't know. It's quite bizarre, really. And a flower is odd as well.
Makes your fingers go on fire.
Yeah.
That's like some kind of Elden Ring fire, a flower, isn't it?
It must be a spicy
That'll burn
chili
you.
or something.
Maybe. Interesting as well, jumping ahead slightly to the second game we're going to talk about today. But in Wario Land, he doesn't have mushrooms to grow, he has garlic.
Yeah.
Their attempt at because obviously we all know where the name Wario comes from. And by the way, I know that we've done this. We haven't done this for a while, actually. It's been a long time since we insulted the American listeners in one of our pods, but I'm going to do it again.
Yeah, carry on.
Dear America,
Tell me, mate.
if you are playing a video game created in Japan, you pronounce it how the Japanese would pronounce it. So his name is not Wario, and it never will be Wario, because that's not how Japanese people would say wa. So his name is fucking Wario, all right? So
That's actually a good point. I'm not sure if I can't recall consciously hearing an American saying Wario.
no, they will say Wario and Mario.
Mario.
Side note on this, I'm listening to a audiobook about WCW written by and read by an Englishman who I believe is going to be from the West Country somewhere, because he sounds like Simon and Sam from our Sega podcast. But he is definitely trying to appeal. Either he's appealing to an American audience, or he's a dickhead who tries to talk like an American. But he seems to have been incapable of understanding the subtle differences in how you would pronounce things. So instead of saying Macho Man, he's trying to say like the Macho Man, but he calls him the Macho Man, as if it's got an O in it. And it's really, really annoying because he comes up in conversation about WCW a lot.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, go on.
I was trying to think the only sort of like ism from another country that I'm sure there's plenty of them because Western society is incredibly Americanized, but I always default to saying Z instead of Z.
Do you?
Yeah, like XYZ, XYZ. I won't say XYZ. But if I see if there's just a Z and like that's going to be like what is that Z doing over there? I wouldn't say what's that Z doing over there, if that makes sense.
When would you say Z then?
If I was saying the alphabet.
Okay. Interesting. I mean, it does rhyme with the song better.
Sounds better to me than Z.
Mm. Do you say zebra then?
Zebra, no.
I see.
It's an odd one.
What?
Stick that in
It
your...
is. I'm gonna process that for a few weeks.
And on that bombshell.
Anyway, yeah. So as we all know, as I was saying, Warui is Japanese for bad. So they took that, put it over Mario to make Wario, which translates slightly, literally to bad Mario. That is where his name come from, and obviously later on where Waluigi came from, which is a terrible name for a character, but he still rules.
Was this the first game with
Yes.
Wario in it? Because
Yes.
I don't think he comes across as a bad guy in this game. Taken in
Certainly not in
isolation.
his own game. We'll get
He's
to that
just
later
looking
on.
for treasure, really. He's neither good nor bad.
Well, I'll tell you the story,
Okay.
and we'll decide the morality, which side of the compass Wario sits on. Because
Okay.
I reckon in the second game, he's not the bad guy anymore.
Okay.
Maybe he is in the first one, but
Right,
we'll
okay.
see. We'll see. So, as we did last time around when we did the Wolfenstein and Medal of Honor Frontline double feature, we have another double feature today that I've been threatening on the podcast for a good while. It is Super Mario Land 2 and 3. We have 6 golden coins and Wario Land. So we're going to start.
Why did you choose,
with
out of interest, why did you choose 2 and 3 instead of going for 1? Given
Because
that
I'm
1
fed up
has
at
got
one,
some...
to be honest.
I haven't played much of it.
Have you not? Have you never finished
Well,
it?
never finished it. No, maybe I can go and do that after this podcast because it won't be long.
So Super Mario Land, the first one, was a launch title for the Game Boy.
Mm-hmm.
I believe very much like these two games we're going to be talking about here, that was also developed by Nintendo R&D 1, which was the oldest development studio at Nintendo, back from when they were still making like toys and, you know, whatever, electronic toys. That was ran by, I believe, Gunpei Yokoi, who is the inventor of the Game Boy and the Game & Watch and the D-pad. So they initially were going to pack Mario Land in with the Game Boy, but then Nintendo decided Tetris would actually be a better fit, which I think we can all agree was the right choice to make.
That was the right call, yeah.
They thought it'd be more appealing to a mass audience to get them to buy into the hardware. They were absolutely right. The game was developed, like I said, by the people who were making the Game Boy itself, the console, to then sort of, they used their knowledge of the hardware to make the game. So in this scenario, and in every scenario, Shigeru Miyamoto, who is obviously the creator of Mario, had absolutely nothing to do with any of these games. He did not have any input on this. And around the time that we're talking about Mario Land 2 coming out, he would have been working on Mario World. And I think we can probably both agree that there is definite similarities in almost all of it visually. The way that, like, the little spin move, you can see Mario 3/Mario World really, like, integral to the design of this game.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I also the first one looks nothing like him.
Well, yeah, I also think that Mario Land 2 looks like a better Game Boy sort of recreation of what would be a Super Nintendo or NES game. Like Mario Land very much feels like a portable Game Boy game, whereas I think like the sprite design, the music, even the complicated nature of the game is much more akin to a more better console experience. Like I think when we played I played, other than the visuals, when we played the sort of DX version, I think that is very, very similar to like a 3.5, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
On the home consoles.
I mean, there are technological reasons why, and that those reasons are that this was a 4 megabit cartridge, which was the biggest Game Boy cartridge ever at this point when it came out, which is bigger than some NES cartridges as well. I think this genuinely looks better than quite a significant amount of NES games.
Yeah, I'd agree with that, especially the color version.
Yeah. Which we will. I'll get to that afterwards because I can't remember who it was who created that or who did that ROM hack. But we will give that person a shout out and then tell everybody where to find it, because that person deserves recognition for what they've done. Because as David points out, Super Mario Land 2 DX, which is a ROM hack, is beautiful and plays so much better than this version.
It plays like a Mario game. And I know these are all Mario games, but I guess like you get what I mean, and hopefully the listeners get what I mean, in that like again, Mario Land is very distinctly. I'm being loath to say this, but I'm just going to say it because I think it gets my point of view across. But like, Mario Land is a distinctly lesser experience than the console equivalents to me. Mario Land 2, I think, Mario Land 2 is less so, I would say.
Oh, sorry, right, yeah, no, I totally agree with that.
It's more akin to an actual console experience, which is in its favour. That's to be praised, right?
Right. As we've said before, between the two of us, like, you know, sometimes we like a sweeping statement or some hyperbole, because that's the kind of guys that we are. But would you say, or would you agree with me? I'm typing while I'm talking. I think, having played Mario Land 2, this is going to sound really stupid, but I think I actually do prefer it to every new Super Mario Brothers game that exists. Is that too much? Is that too far? Is that being silly?
I think it's certainly aged better than those games have. I remember when the new Super Mario Brothers games came out, I was quite a big fan of them. I really enjoyed them.
The DS one, yeah.
Yeah. And
like
even the Wii one, I didn't think it was like a great Mario game for it by any stretch of the imagination, but I think it was a fun game. But I went back to those. I rebought. Is it the Wii U one that has all the DLC
on Switch? Yeah.
I bought that on Switch, and I didn't even get through it because I got bored. And I didn't get bored when I played it the first time. and I think it shows how it's poorly it's aged. It feels like a really sluggish game in a way that these games don't.
They feel so by the numbers, those games.
Yeah.
Whereas I don't think you could say about Mario Land 2 that it's not. I think one of the things you could say in its favor the most is how creative it is in terms of like every world feels significantly different to the other worlds, at least from like a setting and a theme and a visual standpoint.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Whereas Mario,
how does this like what Mario games had come out before Mario Land 2? So we had Mario Land, obviously, and then we had Super Mario Brothers, and Super Mario 2. I would have had the Lost Levels in 3, right? That would be it.
And Mario World.
And Mario World was out by the time this came out.
Mario World came out in 1990. This came out, and we'll go through that bit now. So this was released in Japan on October 21st, 1992, November the 2nd, 92 in North America, and 28th of November 92 in the UK. So you're talking a couple of years after Mario World.
Okay, so I guess to sort of round out that thought, it couldn't be by the numbers in a way that the new NSMB games were, because each of the previous Mario games really that had come out before are quite distinct in a way and very different
Mario
from each
World
other.
has peaked the series at this point.
Yeah,
when this is released.
Yeah, so I mean, if I would take Mario World and set it to one side, because that is like an all timer. None of the other games. I mean, even including Mario World, each game is different.
Yeah,
quite significantly, especially with
including Wario Land 1 as well.
Yeah. The pacing of Wario Land is distinct in a way that I think was unusual for those games, especially at the time.
Yeah, because I don't know exactly, but I think I heard something about like after they'd made Mario Land, the first one, which is set in some kingdom that I can't remember the name of, that like is not the Mushroom Kingdom. It's quite like Earth, isn't it? A lot of it in Mario Land, because you've got like Easter Island shit in there and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, when they went to go make the sequel of it, they went a little bit too like nuts with how it looked, to the point where apparently when they were showing it around, people were saying like, does this feel like Mario to you? Is this really Mario? And that's when they kind of like not scaled back, but they, I guess, rejigged the development ideas around Mario Land 2 to look more like the current Mario games that were out at the time, which is more like a Mario World looking thing. Although the enemy design in this game is kind of out there, right? It's pretty crazy at times.
It can be, yeah.
The horror, the Pumpkin Land, which we can get to later.
Yeah, that's true, actually. You see a lot of, even in sort of the mainline Mario games, a lot of sort of repeating enemies and familiar faces. There's not many in this. I'm trying to think now, and there's not. I mean, there's the flowers popping out of the.
Yeah. There are some Goombas somewhere.
That's right.
There's Goomba ghosts, though, right?
They're odd.
To see that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. I don't know. Is that deliberately so? So I take it this.
Well,
this
again, it's
be a mainline Mario,
Miyamoto, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it's a totally different development.
This isn't a mainline Mario game.
Canon-wise, no, I don't think so. I mean, it has the same characters, well, it doesn't have Bowser in it anymore. I guess that was a significant attempt to differentiate
the bosses are all a bit nuts. Actually, you fight. It's a genie you fight, right? In the
that's Wario Land.
Is it Wario Land? I've played them so close together that I'm conflating the two.
Yeah. I've got listed what they are, so we'll get to them later. Okay, right. So as I said, this was developed by Nintendo R&D 1. And they also had created, so this was, it was headed by Gunpei Yokoi, as I said. They had already developed things like Dr. Mario, Kid Icarus, Metroid 2, Return of Samus. So they were pretty decent, solid development house. And like I say, they had developed stuff like the Game & Watch and the D-pad, because basically Nintendo split their R&D developments to handheld effectively and to home console. So R&D 1 was Gunpei Yokoi with all of his Game Boy stuff. Then R&D 2 was the NES and the SNES. So they kind of all branched off and went those two separate ways and had a handheld division and a whatever division. They eventually then re-amalgamated them together to then create, I guess, EAD maybe, which is the current thing that you usually see developing all the games. So yeah, it was directed by Hiroji Kiyotake and Takehiko Hosokawa, sorry, and the producer was Gunpei Yokoi. Apparently in the UK, Nintendo marketed this with a slogan that said, "Why did the hedgehog cross the road to get to Super Mario Land 2?" Which is, I mean, it's a burn, I guess, but it's not a very hilarious one.
There's one of the two games, and I'm conflating. There's one of the two games that had a character in it that reminded me a bit of Sonic. It was like I to the point that I half wondered if it was a dig.
I think it is. I think you're thinking of the ones in Wario Land where you're underwater and they're like spin at you.
Yeah.
I thought that too. I definitely thought that was a dig at Sonic there. So Mario Land 2 sold approximately 11.18 million copies.
Wow.
Worldwide. So it's only the fifth best-selling Game Boy game of all time. And it was ranked by Official Nintendo magazine as the 44th best game in their list of 100 greatest Nintendo games. I love doing this, so I'm going to do it again. Let's see if you can guess the top 5 best-selling Game Boy games of all time.
Game Boy.
So this was number 5. So Wario Land was number 8.
Okay, and Mario Land 2 is number 5.
Yeah.
my handhelds are really my weak. You've got me in my blind spot, so we've got Mario. So I need to think of 4 games.
Yeah.
Oh, Pokemon in there has to be.
Yeah, there's 2 Pokemon games in there.
Yeah, Red and Blue, right?
That's number 1. And number 3 is Gold and Silver.
Oh wow, okay. So, and then Tetris has to be in there. Does that count?
Number 2. So you only need to get number 4 now. The game right above this. You shouldn't need to think too hard about it.
No.
Nope.
I'm going to kick myself when I hear what this is. Wait a minute, let me think.
I mean, we could do a game of blankety blank. So if Mario Land 2 is number 5, then number 4 is
Mario Land.
Correct.
Right, okay.
Mario Land sold 18.1 million.
That must have been packed in with something then, because this is
No, remember it was a launch game though.
Right, okay.
But not a pack-in, but it was launched alongside the Game Boy.
Okay.
I don't know if this is just me, but I feel like a lot of people I know around this time at the age that I was, which was about 6-ish, I had parents who decided that I wasn't really ready to have like a TV in my room or a console of my own. My dad probably didn't want to give up his TV to me. So I was playing handhelds probably a lot more at this era than I was a home console. Now, I actually got a Game Gear, but my cousin Ben had a Game Boy, and I distinctly remember Mario Land 2, Mario Land 1, Link's Awakening were like the games that I played the most whenever I went to go visit them at Christmas time. And I found Mario Land 2 really difficult back then. But this is probably one of my first experience, like full-on experiences of a proper or any kind of Mario game around this time was Mario Land 2. Did you play a lot of this as a kid, or is this something you've played more recently?
This is the first time I've played it.
Did you not have a Game Boy?
No, I got a Game Boy and played Pokemon on it. And
fair enough.
I don't even think I had one. So my friend had an OG Game Boy that we used to play with. And my only real memory of that is when he would come over to stay, he would take his Game Boy because my mum and dad would hijack it and play Tetris all night. And then my sister had a green Game Boy Color, and I had Pokemon Blue that I would play on that. Other than that, my first proper handheld was probably a PS Vita, would be probably the first one.
You know, PSP?
I did, but all I played on that was Football Manager when I was in placement.
I used to put Family Guy episodes on mine. I sort of
good man.
It, I think.
Yeah, handheld games are a real blind spot for me. Real blind spot. It's just not some. It's just the small screen. Like, it's something I've just always struggled to get immersed in, and I find it.
I would wonder if the handheld game you've played the most in your life is Street Pass.
Almost certainly, yeah. Almost certainly, and like annoyingly, because I actually have considered going back and getting a 3DS again, because I got about a third to to halfway through Chrono Trigger, and I really want to go back and play that. And I think like when I think about it, I think the 2 screens is maybe the way I want to play that rather than.
It certainly streamlines and makes it a lot easier.
But I would have to be an XL. I don't think I could play it again on the little 3DS I had. It's honestly, the screen size is a real barrier for me. I need a big TV screen or just one like a monitor size. It's the little screen. I just can't. For some reason, I just can't. I'm always aware that I'm playing a game when I'm playing a handheld, whereas I can, like when I'm playing a video game on a bigger screen, I become completely unaware of what's going on around me. There's that disconnect always with handhelds.
Yeah, I can see that.
And I know that's led to me missing out on a lot of good games. It's just I can't.
Yeah, I guess so.
Can't.
I mean, did they? I'm trying to think when they sort of re-released games like this. I believe actually, this actually was re-released on the 3DS in 2012. I think.
What was it?
Let's have a look. Oh no, that was Wario Land. Sorry, that was re-released in. Let's find out when. Yeah, that was released on the 3DS Virtual Console in 2012. Yeah, February 2012.
Got you.
But Mario Land 2 has not been re-released, which is strange.
Yeah, because it's excellent. It really is excellent.
I mean, they could stick a compilation of the 3 games out on the Switch, and it would probably sell quite well. I would have thought.
Yeah, probably.
But that requires Nintendo to respect their IPs,
which they don't.
No. Right. I think that's basically everything I had in terms of setup.
Mm-hmm.
So we can dive into the game a little bit and our thoughts on
Let's
it.
dive in.
I thought one little extra bit before we fully go into that is I quite like how there's no order to this game. You can do the worlds in any order you want. And apparently Nintendo have gone on record to sort of say that difficulty balancing was the hardest part of this game, the development of this game, because they kind of needed every area to be accessible to players at all times, and not have one be like brutally hard and one really, really easy. And I feel like that they did quite a good job of balancing it. I never really felt like one area was incredibly difficult. The game isn't exactly that difficult anyway. As a kid, I was dog shit at this game, but nowadays I found this game relatively simple to get through. So it doesn't really spike in terms of easiness or difficulty.
No, I was just a bit bummed out that I went clockwise. So
okay,
the last world I did was the water world, and that just put a bummer. That was an absolute bummer for me, really.
Yeah. I mean, it's cool how you get in there, snatched up by a turtle. We've already kind of talked about the graphics. You know, how we both think the sprites are really, really well done. Certainly for the console that it's on. You can look at a lot of Game Boy games that will look terrible compared to this. The sprites are obviously big, which I guess allowed them to put a bit more detail on them.
Yeah.
It's quite a zoomed-in game.
Yeah, absolutely.
We both enjoyed the music as well.
We did.
The main theme is decent. I really like the underwater theme in this as well.
Yeah.
That's been in my head lots. I've been whistling that loads since I played this. And a couple of extra things as well. The coins in this game can go up to 999 rather than topping out at 100 and giving you a life and then resetting the counter. And you can use the coins to spend on bonus games. Did you ever go and do that?
I did at the beginning, and then I just bailed on that.
I sort of thought to myself, I should go back here before I go to the final fight with Wario, but I didn't bother in the end. There's like a little area where you can jump in, and there's like 3 different pipes, isn't there, with different coin values on. I think you go up there, you can play like a bonus wheel spin game, and you're less likely to get nothing and more likely to get high amount of lives if you have more coins on you go in. And apparently killing 100 enemies, because it has a counter, doesn't it, for how many enemies you've got?
Yes.
Or you've killed. Whenever you get to 100, Invincible Star drops from the ceiling, and then that allows you to.
Oh, is that what was doing that? Okay.
That's what's triggering that. Yeah, is you killing 100 enemies. There are how many zones there are in this? Is it 6? And then the final one?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3. Yeah. So I started in Tree Zone.
Yep. With the weird ants.
My favorite part of that was the bit where you've got an underground level where you've got like it's almost like jelly or watery stuff.
I thought that was really smart. That was really cleverly done. I really enjoyed that.
The final, but some of the what do you think to the bosses in this game?
They're all right.
Not very challenging, are
Not
they?
very challenging. There was a couple times where I couldn't quite work out what I was supposed to be doing.
I found that in Wario Land a lot. I
Yeah.
got really confused in that one.
But yeah, I guess, yeah, I think I'm maybe conflating the two again, because Mario Land 2 just a lot of the time just descends into jump on its head, doesn't it?
Certainly does in the tree zone, because that's the one where it's a bird in a nest and he just basically swoops down from side to side, and all you got to do is jump on his head 3 times and he's done. Mario Zone is probably the coolest map of
it's like a weird robotic Mario, right?
Yeah, so apparently, right, instead of this being in the Mushroom Kingdom or the previous oh, hang on a minute. I was gonna read out the story, wasn't I?
Oh, so you were.
First.
Wind us back.
I've got the manual here. So the manual, no, that's Wario Land. Right. Story. Let me read you the story from the game's manual. It says, danger, danger. While I was away crusading against the mystery alien Tatanga in Sarasa Land, which is where Mario Land 1 is, an evil creep took over my castle and put the people of Mario Land under his control with a magic spell. Now, this is important to note that...
Who's speaking? Is that Mario speaking? So he's got a castle?
Yeah, and a land named after him now. So when did he? Yeah, when did he afford himself his own castle?
He's not done plumbing in years. And that
land. Guy. He must have had some inheritance or something.
He must be like Sir Mario. Like, do you think Peach just sort of?
Maybe she knighted him. Yeah.
Knighted him. Yeah.
That was a good point. But yeah, so he says this intruder goes by the name of Wario. He has been jealous of my popularity ever since we were boys, childhood friends. And he's tried to steal my castle many times. It seems he has succeeded this time. Wario has scattered the 6 golden coins from my castle all over Mario Land. These golden coins are guarded by those under Wario's spell. Without these coins, we can't get into the castle to deal with Wario. We must collect the 6 coins, attack Wario in the castle, and save everybody.
So you're fighting Wario.
The 6 golden coins are needed to open the gate of Mario's castle.
I wondered if I was going to be fighting Wario, but I didn't recognise him when we fought him at the end.
Are you sure? Because he was a fucking big old sprite at the end. Disgusting, horrible sprite.
I remember. So, am I remembering the right game? Yeah, it's like a guy dressed up as Mario. To me, and then you beat him, and he comes out of a suit and runs off.
No, I don't know if I remember that. Have a look at the final fight. Not the game final fight, obviously. But have a look at that if you want. Because the sprite for Wario in this game, when you fight him at the end, is enormous. He's like twice the size of Mario. And he looks like he's just huffed a litre of petrol.
Yeah, so... yeah, okay. So I did... When I was watching him, I was sitting wondering, is that Mario? And then I thought it could also be a Mario... in a guy dressed up as Mario badly, and like it was when
look like a really like crappy.
Yeah, do you know what threw me is
costume,
when you beat him, Wario's hat comes off, and he looks a bit like a goblin.
He does look like a goblin,
and that threw me a bit because I don't think I've ever seen Wario with no hat on. So I think that's what threw me.
I think the only time you ever would probably be Super Mario 64 DS on that desert level where that vulture nicks your hat if you played the game as Wario.
I don't think I would have played that and didn't play it on DS. Beyond going Yoshi
I would like
to
play that version, but not on a DS.
Yes. It's probably I wonder if that's aged the best now that I think about it.
That's what I'm thinking. Yeah. I think I have actually tried it on my PC. But I think it's quite difficult to map the camera controls to a controller because you were using the touchscreen to do it on that version. It's so horrible. Such a horrible way to control it. So yeah, while basically Mario... So this obviously happens after the events of the first Mario Land, while Mario's out saving Daisy, not Peach.
I guess because...
Wario busts in there and steals his castle from him.
Bowser's more of Peach's...
Yeah.
Nemesis, right?
Yeah.
And then Wario would be Mario's.
Daisy's, I guess.
Or is he?
Oh no, because Daisy's not involved in this, is he? So yeah, you're right.
He's been annoyed since they'd be obviously childhood friends. So whatever brought Mario from was he ever in the real world, or is that movie canon? Whatever brought him into the Mushroom Kingdom, or
and where's Wario come from? Because why would Wario live in Mario Land?
Yeah,
he's obviously snuck in there and stole Mario's castle, but from where?
Unless it never became Mario Land until Peach gave him the land. It might have been someone else's land. Because it must be someone's to give. He's got it from somewhere. He's not a king. He's a plumber.
No. Yeah. And he's ordered them to build a statue of himself.
Excellent.
That you can enter and has a whole heap of actual things to do inside it. So that is where we were up to, wasn't it? I mean, there's Lego blocks in that, which I found weird.
I don't remember them.
There's a level towards the end of the Mario zone where there's all the floor is basically giant Lego blocks because you're getting attacked a lot by like nails and saw blades.
That's right, yeah.
I guess it's trying to follow this sort of clockwork theme that it sets up in the map itself.
Yeah, and to me that theme felt quite familiar. That feels like quite a familiar trope that they've had in Mario games over the years. The sort of a metallic, almost toy-like robot-y area.
Certainly in like Galaxy and stuff.
Yeah, that's absolutely the one I was thinking of.
About that. Yeah, no, that's a really good point. The boss of the Mario zone is the 3 pigs, which I think is probably the hardest boss of the game.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. That or the rat gave me a bit of bother.
The rat?
Yeah, he comes out of pipes and you've got to jump on him.
Really?
Yeah, because once I figured out what he was doing fairly, but there's a bit where he just like shoots upward, and that would get me.
I had the fire flower, so I just pummeled him. I didn't even do anything. Yeah, but the boss of this one, the 3 pigs, where they're in like cuckoo clocks or something, and they have like differing jump styles, don't they? One of them is kind of like rolls at you. I think one of them jumps sort of short and low, and then one jumps high.
Every time you jump on one, they speed up a bit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I found that one quite tough. The next one I did in my notes I've written Turtle Zone, Water Zone. Look out, David. This isn't going in your forever delayed YouTube video.
Forever delayed. I wonder if I'll ever get back to that. Yeah, it's just
Games of water.
It's my least favourite part. So I found often I was struggling to get out of the way of things, and yeah, I just don't like it.
I mean, yes, the swimming I would say is annoying, but in this zone here, some of the stuff that they do with the idea I thought was really clever. So you've got one of them where you're in like that sunken submarine, so you're kind of in and out of the water in that sunken vessel, and then when you're in the whale's mouth as well, and he's got like his teeth in there and all of like.
I was actually quite thankful that the sort of water area wasn't all underwater, and they found ways to put you on dry land.
Yeah. I've written that the final boss being the octopus was really easy. You can get above his head and then slam down on him easy, like 3 times. Is it a swimming fight? It's not, is it? Is it? I can't remember how you do it now.
I can't remember now either.
Let's have a look.
Oh, I've got such a sore mouth.
Oh yeah?
I've got an ulcer right on the onion, the bit that join, right on there, and it's fucking sore to speak.
I've had them there before as well. They absolutely suck. No, it's not Mario Land Octopus, it's Mario Land 2. Right, yeah. So there's a bit at the top of the boss arena for the octopus that is not water, and you can jump out of it. So I remember I just swam over his head, and then you could just sort of jump out the surface of the water and then land.
Yeah, I don't remember it being too tough.
No, I found that very, very easy. There's what I thought initially. Well, there is one bonus level in this game, which is like it's just an auto scroller with a load of Goombas in it. It seems to just be a way to get yourself loads of extra coins and health and stuff. But there's another bonus level at the top that you go to like a hippo, and then the hippos like blow these bubbles, and you have to jump in the bubble and hold the jump button to like float up.
Oh, the bubble one was great. I really like
Yeah.
that one. Yeah.
And that takes you to Space Zone. And I was
Mm-hmm.
thinking as I was playing this how I think Space Zone is excellent, but it
Yeah.
seems too similar to the swimming for maybe you to enjoy.
No, I quite
I
like
wasn't sure
Space
how you'd
Zone.
feel.
No, I was a fan of Space Zone because it was very easy to sort of maneuver yourself about, and I kind of, it took me a while to click, but all you'd had to do was hold the button, and he would rise up, and as soon as you let it go, he would move, and he moved quickly, and it was easy. The thing that bugs me about the Mario water levels and water levels in general is when someone's coming at you, you don't get enough time to react, or you've got to sort of slowly float. And the worst thing is when in Wario Land did it a few times, it makes you walk along the bottom of the water. That can get fucked. Whereas this one was really quick and reacted nicely.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. And the game's pretty floaty anyway, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
The jump that Mario has is noticeably floatier and higher than I think it was in the NES games. And of course, the slowdown that happens quite a lot in this game allows you more time and frames to figure out what you're doing.
Did that happen in the Game Boy version itself?
Yeah, it must have done. It must have done, yeah. I can't believe it's happening on an emulated version that you and I are playing, but it does. Yeah, so I really like Space Zone. The moon level where you've got effectively moon physics, so you can run, but he jumps super high. And then the star one, where you're basically like having to float up. You're effectively swimming in space in his little spacesuit, but you're like between all those rows of stars that like obstacles. It's basically like a maze, isn't it? You've got to kind of float through. I thought that was fucking awesome.
Yeah, it was really good. Really well done.
But again, the problem with this is that the last boss of this one is an alien, and you can because you can float, you just fly over his head and then drop on him 3 times, and he was done. I found.
Yeah, totally agree.
I'd say the most disappointing zone was Macro Zone, because I didn't really feel like they lent properly into the fact that you're supposed to be really small. Most of the levels seemed like they were just like a garden with ants in it that weren't any bigger than you. And then the only level that really was or really felt like you were small was the last level where there's just some books in there. And that was really it.
Yeah,
I was really disappointed in
that. It just sort of allowed them to play with the visuals a little bit, didn't it?
But not as much as I would have thought they would. Because, lots of Mario games do seem to do the thing. Mario 64 does it. I'm pretty sure one of them, maybe it's Mario 3, has a world where you're tiny and there's like really big enemy sprites. But they didn't do that in this.
I guess because this is the one with the rat at the end.
Yeah,
I guess
that's
in a way that they kind of do it there. But yeah, I agree.
Maybe because the screen size was so small, you couldn't fit bigger enemies than Mario because he's already pretty big.
So I'm just trying to remind myself with pictures. The idea is you were in a house and you were somehow small.
Whose house is that?
One of Mario's pals. Luigi's, maybe? I don't know.
Could be Luigi's house. Because I guess Mario lives in the castle that's been stolen.
So. Yeah.
He had his home nicked. Literally carried away. The final zone I did was Pumpkin Zone, which is like a horror themed one.
Yes.
This to me has the most like inventive. Well, I say inventive enemy types. They're not made up by Nintendo, some of them, but like you had the Goombas with like Jason masks on.
Yeah.
They're actually apparently called Jason in the Japanese version. Yeah. Like I guess it's going to be JEI, maybe. Or
they had daggers in their head as well, didn't they?
Yeah, and I felt like they were hurting me when I was standing on them sometimes.
Yeah, I'm not
maybe
sure.
Maybe the hit detection was that like I was jumping on the mask but then running into the knife and getting, I don't know. But one thing I think it's in the second level of this, they have a load of like yokai in it. Did you notice them? Like the Japanese ghost type of stuff.
Yes.
So they are. Do you want a bit of yokai knowledge?
Yeah, go for it.
Right. So one of them is called Hitotsume Kozo, which is the bald. It translates to one-eyed priest boy. He's the one that looks like he's got like a little, I don't know, like a judo robe on, and he's like a little cyclops bloke sticking his tongue out. When I was searching for this on Google, it showed me what a shirime is, which I thought was going to be the same thing. So I clicked on it, but it's not. It's not apparently. I've seen it. It's a yokai that has an eye for an anus. So the picture I saw of it was like a ghost on all fours, spreading its legs with just an eye for an arsehole. Who thought that up? It's not real. No one's. I will bet dollars to donuts that nobody in Japan has ever seen a ghost with an eye for an anus. So someone's imagined that, and then it's gone into Japanese folklore.
It's an odd place to keep an eye. Is your anus in your eyes?
Get out of your fucking eye socket.
Yeah.
Yeah, whilst you look. So it's almost like, you'd be puking shit whilst looking at the door of the toilet as you.
Quite annoying if you do one of those accidental, farts while you sneeze. Would be quite good.
Yeah.
Right at your eye
Where do you
hole.
sneeze from? I guess it would be the same place. But you still got a nose, I assume.
Yeah,
so
you just got bum holes on your eyes. Being able to see where you're going is also a bit of a problem.
What would?
Trying to see where you're going.
Yeah, you'd have to. I guess you'd have to walk backwards. You couldn't drive
backwards.
either.
No.
Is the drive with like the underside of your feet?
Yeah.
Like, not the soles of your feet on the wheel, and then you're just sticking your ass over the dashboard so you can have a look. Well,
you definitely wouldn't get woken up by like sunlight in your bedroom in the morning, though. You just sort of lie down and it'd be black.
That's not... Especially again, if you've still got a functioning mouth to breathe out of, provided ghosts even need to breathe. But let's just say they did, because then if your head's up the top, but your eyes are under the covers, that'd be well good. As you say, you're not going to get suffocated or Dutch ovened because your head's at the top, but you still get your eyes are still covered by the duvet. Maybe they have got this right. I'll try it.
Yeah.
Just go to a plastic surgeon. What can I do for you, mate? I want to be a shirime. What's that? Have a look at this, mate.
I'm about to change your life.
How would they'd have to do a lot of work to get the functioning bowel movement out of my eye sockets, though. That'd be the hardest part. I think you can put an eye in anyone's anus. That's like rookie plastic surgery.
Do you have the one bum hole and then there's just two tubes coming off to each eye? I guess that would be how you would do it.
What, so you think you'd have to split your bowel?
You'd have to have one massive sort of bum hole and then just like exhaust tubes coming out to your eye holes. Either that or you'd have to have like two sets of intestine and stuff like that.
So
because you don't want one eye pooping and one eye not needing the poop. You want to just
looking at the shit coming out right
utilize
next to
both holes, yeah.
Or as you say, just like Cyclops. Just to help push out them really big curry shits. Yeah, because imagine some of the shits you've done in your life and it coming out the size of. Well, I say coming out the size of your eye, but your anus isn't that much bigger, is it?
No. I guess. What the hell? Yeah. I'm trying to think
if anyone thinks we've gone off the rails here, this is Japan's fault. By the way.
Anus stretch is probably bigger than your eye socket, so yeah, it's potentially.
It will definitely stretch. Yeah.
I guess we'll find out when we go ahead with the surgery.
Yes. Yeah. Right. Other yokai it has is the Kasa Obake, which is like the umbrella thing with the one leg sticking out of it and one eye again. That means umbrella priest boy apparently, and that is a Tsukumogami type of yokai, which is an inanimate objects that once they have served their owner for 100 years, they receive a soul and therefore become alive and self-aware.
Okay.
Another one of those is the Chochin Obake, which is the paper lantern ghost, which is another possessed lantern, and it usually has one eye and a long tongue because they're the ones that are like hanging and they're like sticking their tongue out as you run underneath them. They don't really seem to do any damage. But I was very impressed to see that in a Mario game because you just don't see that kind of stuff in a normal like Miyamoto developed.
No, it's gone a bit mental.
Yeah. As I said earlier, Ghost Goombas was an interesting thing to see. Rather than boos, it was actually like Goombas in ghost form. Nice to see you can jump on some ghosts in these games as well.
Yes.
You can actually fight them. And I also like the idea that they had of the platforms that sort of disappear. They don't disappear in terms of you can still stand on them, but they were like flashing, weren't they? Like in and out of sight.
I enjoyed that. That was good.
Yeah, I personally think that was the best zone, and the witch boss was quite good as well. It's got those. You got to stand on her little cauldrons, and she shoots fire, and it goes underneath and sets one up. And if you're standing on it, it'll crush you in the ceiling. And then the last part of the game is Wario's castle, where you go through quite an ordeal. It's quite a challenge. That last castle, it goes on for a very long time. There's quite a lot of the
level
mini-bosses,
gets
those big
long,
floaty balls.
Mm-hmm.
You fight about 4 of those in a row. And then Wario, probably why you thought he was like a Mario costumed guy, he gets all the powers, doesn't he? He gets like the rabbit ears himself.
Yeah, he does.
The fire flower and
Because I wondered if it was trying to copy me, and it was some sort of like mimic ghost. But yeah, like now that I've sort of clicked it as Wario, that makes more sense.
Yeah, and then Mario obviously beats him, takes his castle back, flips the sign on the door around to say M instead of W again. Maybe he just turns it upside down. I don't know. And then the credits roll, with some really lovely credits music.
Mm-hmm. I really like this game. It's good.
Yeah, let's have some more. Let's have some of your thoughts on the game before we move on to our second part.
I enjoyed how, like I was saying before, how I felt like Super Mario Land felt distinctly like a Game Boy game. I felt like this was much more of a fully featured, fleshed out, big boy experience, so to speak. And I wasn't expecting that going into it. I was expecting another sort of Mario Land type game with the weird little sprites, but this game is really, really pretty, especially in that color version. But even the black and white version is still pretty nice to look at. I like the big sprites. I thought the bosses were quite inventive and nicely they were just a bit of a mad sort of side hustle of a Mario game. Like we were saying before, it's probably not a mainline release, but the interesting thing about these non-mainline releases is the way that the Mario or Nintendo allow their Mario IP to sort of be taken in interesting directions. And it's sort of like you're saying, like it was like Mario. I'm trying to think of the way to say this, but it was almost melded with real world, like sort of real world, like tropes and stuff like that. So like, and they weren't all like that, but like the when you're fighting the pig boss, they were in their little different houses, and to me that looked like the straw pig, the stone pig, and the wooden pig from that werewolf nursery rhyme. Do you know what one I'm talking about? When the 3 little pigs have their house, one's got a straw house, one's got a
Sorry, fucking hell, Alex. Yeah,
and then the werewolf comes and blows their house down. It reminded me of that, and I was trying to look it up while we're saying that, but there's a couple other things that reminded me of sort of like children's folk tales, so to speak. Like the witch was very reminiscent of that to me as well. And I guess that's all I've really got. The horror site place that we spoke about had like messed around with things that we'd associate with Halloween and things like that.
And like I said, a lot of Japanese folklore in there as well.
Yeah, I just thought it was a really interesting sort of distraction sidestepping of a Mario game in which I wasn't expecting.
Yeah, I guess it's important to note as well that it has battery saves on this cartridge because it's, as you said, it's a lot bigger and it feels a lot more like a console experience. Whereas the Game Boy obviously was not designed for that at all. That's why you've got games like Tetris and Mario Land, the first one, being so short and easy to pick up and play. Whereas this one takes quite a significant amount more of time, less than the next game.
Yeah.
It takes a long time to beat this. It's a good couple of hours, and without the saving, I don't think anyone would have ever got through it.
No, I don't think so. And it's something that I think Nintendo have consistently done well over the years in creating games that are built around whatever platform they happen to be on. Yeah. And maybe to an extent, that's why Nintendo often feel reluctant to re-release their games, I wonder. But it's still no excuse, ultimately. They should still do it.
They should, because as we've touched on a fair few times in this, other people will do it if they don't. So while you're out there, while it still exists, I mean, it'll always exist. The internet is the internet. You can't get rid of it completely. But if any listeners out there want to check out the Super Mario Land 2 DX version that was created as a ROM hack by a user called Toruz, Touruzz or ZZ, It was released in 25th of December 2017. Its last patch was 2019, so it's on version like 1.8.1. Includes a randomizer in it, which I haven't actually tried yet, but apparently there's a randomizer element to it now.
Well, that sounds
Whether
fun.
it just switches between levels as you're playing, I don't know, but I'd like to see if I can figure out how to do
brilliant.
that. But yeah, just go to romhacking.net. You're going to need to get read the README file if you need to figure out how to sort of modify your Mario Land 2 GB file. But Mario Land 2DX is beautiful, has no slowdown. You can play as Luigi. Well worth checking out.
Yeah, it really is. I wish I'd played the game that way.
Yeah. Me too. Well, I was kind of reluctant to do so because I thought it might give a weird, inaccurate opinion of the actual Game Boy game. But I certainly something I will go and play through at some point. It doesn't take very long anyway. Shall we? Right. Let's have a little break. I mean, you don't have to have a break, but whatever. And then we will come back for our second part of the double feature, where we're going to be talking about Super Mario Land 3, Wario Land.